Science North's career video series. In these videos, we'll meet a wide range of professionals spanning multiple sectors. Each interview will explore what they do, how they got there, and the skills that you would need to pursue a similar career. We hope you enjoy this video as well as the others in this series. Without further ado, let's meet today's interviewee. Hi, Wendy. Thank you for joining me today and welcome to the Career Video Series. Let's start by maybe you could tell me where you work and what your organization does.
So I work at Sunnybrook Research Institution, which is affiliated with the University of Toronto, and we do medical research, and I focus on MRI research. I manage some of our core facilities, like take care of the hardware, make sure everything's functioning properly. I help people set up to run the experiments that they want to run. Someone came to me the other week saying, hey, we want to do cardiac imaging using this fancy new technology. How can we get it set up? So we sat down and did some troubleshooting for a while and got his experiment set up, and he'll be off and running on his own. I also deal with some people who come to me and say, hey, we want to study this particular thing and we have this expertise over here. We're going to do all of our lab work, but then can you get the images for us? So we do a little bit of that as well. And then I have some of my own research. You're probably familiar with medical images. You can see the picture, and we have this idea that if you have a picture of your brain and you can just look at it, then you'll be able to see what's wrong. And that's not the case. So often we need a little bit more information out of that. And MRI is a lot more powerful than X-ray or CT because we can change the kind of contrast. It's like maybe changing the filter on your camera, but maybe making it more sensitive to neurotransmitters, or say the types of chemicals that tumors produce. So we can do like a little bit of biochemistry through an imaging technique. So that's a lot of what I focus on.
You are an MRI expert in a sense where you're going to help the researchers find what they're looking for specifically through that technology. Is that it?
Yeah, and sometimes I do my own research, but I work for a scientist, so I don't have to come up with my own projects. I discovered fairly early on in my PhD that I don't like coming up with my own projects. I really like being told what the goal is and then going off on my own and figuring it out. But if it's my project, I start second guessing myself. Like, is this really important? Maybe I could do doing something else. But when someone else is showing up at your desk saying, okay, what happened? Let me see, what are the results? Let's talk about this. It's more fun.
That's exciting. It sounds too like you get to work in a number of different projects and potentially not just sort of focused in on one.
It's hard to get bored. Yes.
That's great. So what's the best part of your job for you?
I think it's that I get to meet so many really interesting, really smart people, and we get to have these fascinating conversations about the things that they are most interested in. And then I get to help them solve the problems they're having.
Can you talk to me a little bit about your path that you took to get to your current position?
No, I went to Waterloo for math, and I knew that math was the thing I was interested in. And coding felt a bit scary, but you have to take some intro coding courses. You're trying to tell this absolute idiot of a computer how to do this complicated thing. And it insists on making all of the worst mistakes. Like, if there's a mistake it can make, it's going to make that mistake. So you have to think really, really logically about that. And I found that interesting. I found that a lot like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. But then I also did co-op. So I got to have a break from going to school and I'd get these co-op jobs. I taught myself C++ on a work term. On another term, I was actually coding in C++. So I did that and I graduated and I got a job coding. And the company I was working for was building front ends for MRI and CT scanners. And that was, it was really interesting, and I really enjoyed the job for 4 months, which is the length of a co-op work term. At the end of 4 months, I was like, okay, I figured this out, and now I'm ready for something new. And they went, we want you to keep doing the same thing you've been doing. Like, just, you're good at that. Just keep doing more and getting better. And I'm like, but I'm bored now. And then I was just applying for things, and I saw this job in a lab that did MRI research. And I was like, well, I know something about medical imaging. I've done a thing with that. And so I applied for it and I got it. You can write software that runs on an MRI that tells it exactly what scan to run. It's if you're familiar with the way computer games work these days, a lot of the time you can write your own add-ons to modify the way the interface looks or the way some things behave. And the MRI vendors have created that sort of platform to work with the MRI. So you have the MRI that's built by a big company, and then on top of that, you've got this extra platform to play with. I was looking at this and I'm like, I'm never going to get bored. There's way too much to do.
Do you have any advice that you'd want to provide to students?
So the job that I'm doing does not pay as well as a production coding job. I mean, if you have a physics degree, you can go and work for a big bank and make a ton of money. But the work I do, it's always interesting. It's really rewarding. We're studying the effects of particular neurotransmitters in the brain. I'm trying to see if we can find early signs of depression and maybe either diagnose people or evaluate how effective treatments are going to be using a scan rather than using a how do you feel today. You do wind up with a ton of autonomy. There's a lot going on, so you need to be up for that kind of challenge. So if you find yourself bored easily, it's a good place to be.
Well, thank you very much, Wendy, for sharing your career with us and your path to get there, and your insights into coding and careers and all of that. We certainly appreciate it, and we look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you very much.